everyone. I thought this week's lesson on Japan culture was really interesting. I learned a lot from this week's guest speaker, and if I were traveling to Japan for a business purpose, I would need to prepare by studying respectful gestures. The guest speaker from this week's lesson stated that respect is more important than confidence in professional spaces. In chapter 9, it says that etiquette and manners are critical elements required for all international and global business executives, managers, and employees. The guest speaker this week provided many helpful tips on how to navigate the respectful gestures and language in Japanese culture. Our guest speaker touched base on some norms, such as using a sharp voice versus a soft voice for business spaces. For example, you wouldn't talk very kindly and softly, but more like direct and kind of getting to the point is what I got out of that. Also, he was talking about how people are much more shy around the opposite sex, and this is something that we've seen previously from our other guest speakers. So that seems to be something that many cultures share, that we tend to be a little more uncomfortable around the opposite sex versus our own sex. And I would say that we share that as well with Japan. That's similar to US culture as well. The most important respectful gestures to keep in mind when traveling to Japan, which was stated by the guest speaker this week, was smiling and bowing. That I picture greeting others by smiling and bowing every time you greet somebody or meet somebody new. More gestures that the guest speaker mentioned is pointing with your palm instead of your index finger. That's something I think in American culture, at least I've been talked to by my elders about pointing being rude. But if we are to point, if we're pointing at something and not someone, it's not rude, and we always use our index finger. So that's definitely a difference that the US has. That's different from Japanese culture. They always point with their palm, not to be rude. Another thing that he mentioned was using two hands when receiving or giving an item. I thought that was pretty interesting. So that would definitely be something to keep in mind if I was to do business in Japan. The speaker also mentioned that employers expect a team player mentality. So that would definitely be something to bring to my demeanor. I guess you would want to show that you can work better as a team than individually. So that would definitely be something to keep in mind. The shame culture in Japan, I wanted to touch base on because I feel like it would be a little intimidating going to Japan for business if you're unfamiliar with Japanese culture for those reasons. It seems like little things like little gestures such as the pointing with your palm instead of your finger might be something that you wouldn't know, and you could offend somebody by doing that. So it would definitely take a lot of research and just making sure that you know how not to offend somebody and how to always show respect before traveling to Japan for business purposes. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening.